Hey everybody, welcome to the Fire Army Clubhouse. Today's topic: what are the entry barriers into Web3? Stay tuned. All right, a little bit of guidelines as to how we will typically run our broadcasting. We'll have a nice little commercial break every 15 minutes or so. Give the host time to reset the room, grab some water, and get all those wonderful resources for you guys posted in public. Craig and I are the hosts, and of course, founding team members of Fire Army. We implore you to find us and follow us on Twitter as well, or to visit us online at firearmy.com. Hey, Sam, welcome. Hey, BB. We're getting the broadcast started here momentarily. What are some of the entry barriers to Web3? It's a question that's on everyone's mind as we're moving much faster than we'd ever thought we would into this emerging internet of things. We've heard the internet of things our entire life, but now we're actually creating the things that will solely exist here on the internet, thus bringing us into Web3. We're really at Web 2.5 right now. So that's why you're early. And we want to know what are some of the entry barrier problems you're having coming into this space? What are some of the entry barriers you see being an issue by coming into this space? What are some hurdles you've seen other people deal with? So those are critical questions that we're asking as we're about to participate, build, buy my best friend's coin. I just watched them make. When we're dealing with these new issues, we want to know what are the entry barriers and how can we overcome them. So before we come into the space, we can come into the space on solid ground. So one of the first entry barriers to Web3 is everyone asks me this over the years. Hey, how much does it cost to get started? So let's just talk about that for a moment. The first thing that happens with us as consumers is we always want to know the price point. We want to know the price point. We want to know what it does, what is it for, how does it work. Those are our rights as consumers. So before I give you my money, I want to know these things because there may be an ethical divide on why I don't want to invest there or some other reason. So when we ask ourselves this about the Web3 space, and we see people buying NFTs, we see large NFT projects in excess of hundreds of millions of dollars. The first thing we ask as consumers is, okay, well, how much would it cost for me to participate or build in the Web3 space? Absolutely nothing. That's my answer. That should be your answer too. Never before could I say that. And I am an adult in my mid 30s. I've never been able to say that. I've never been able to say, hey, I was able to make an entire business ecosystem DAO money and I extracted all of it from thin air. I've never been able to say that as an adult. But I can say that about Web3 because literally, whatever it is that I can conceive, whatever it is that I can conceive to dream to build, it can exist in this space. So while we're sitting at the precipice of Web 2.5 and Web 3 on the horizon, let's think about some of these entry barriers we may come across and ask ourselves truly, do we need entry barriers into Web3? Because that would be more of an actual logical question. Craig, I'll turn it over to you momentarily. I'm also going to give you some permissions. We want to welcome Kay. She's down there listening to us in the chat as well. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, great question today, Jade. I'm so happy that we chose to talk about those entry barriers. And having a teaching background, I think that one of the first barrier is really just like what is the basic knowledge you need to join the Web3 space? And truthfully, you don't need any. But to understand what's being said, that's not true at all, because there are a ton of catchwords and terminology that you do need to associate and learn to have those be to actually understand what's being discussed. I'm going to add some topics here at the top while I'm talking. But I mean, if you don't know what a blockchain is, I mean, you're off to Google, or at least you should be. And just like anything else that you look into, these are all things that you should definitely look into and look up when you're joining something new. And I think that people think, with how fast our society really runs and works now, that you can skip that. But in this case, when it involves nearly everything involves money, if you're going to actually interact with things, that it is something that you need to do some research on before you actually do things. Now, there are definitely some free portions and ways to get into the space, and that is great. But again, you still need, there is something that you're giving up, that they're giving you something for free. That is, there is always some sort of handoff of something, whether it be information, or otherwise, that you are giving them in return, because people don't offer things, especially businesses that make money, just for free. There is always a cost. So always understanding and knowing what that cost would be kind of lies directly and foremost with one of the first things you should really research and understand fully: the digital wallet. Jade, any comments on that?
I agree wholeheartedly. The reason of consumerism in this curve we're looking at, it's hard to see that, oh, yeah, I still need to be proactive with that step. That's why we encourage everyone in the community to do your own research all the time. And it's also a fundamental reason as to why I developed my course material the way I did. How can I encourage you to get into the Web3 space for free? Using things that are free and taking the free things and turning it into more real money. If you can do that, you're a winner to me, because that means you didn't spend any money to start. But what did you give? Your time. You spent your time learning. You spent your time learning, starting a profile, learning how to move the crypto, learning how to do it in a whatever it is, that's what you gave. That was the offshoot exchange, correct? Because even if I'm giving you the material to free for you to go off and learn these different things, it's still your time you're giving. You have to choose to want to do that though. You have to sit and say, hey, I want to learn this because this is going to give me something much larger than that 2 hours of time. This same 2 hours of time, I might just watch a couple episodes of SVU. What's better? SVU, learning how to use a new emerging ecosystem, because I can't escape that. I'm a consumer. Those are the things that I just want to provoke people to think about and to make these decisions on their own, because I don't want you to be left behind. The biggest issue for me is you guys, for those of you who know me, I am a big engager of poverty. My job in America is to help alleviate poverty. That's me. That's what I do. That's what I care about. I'm passionate about that. If I can figure out how to help alleviate poverty here, then maybe I can help figure out how to alleviate poverty in other countries.